I don't think the world needs more boundaries. Yeah, that's one thing that we talk about a lot. It's kind of a word that's cliche, it's thrown around, it's trendy, just like narcissism. It's like everybody's a narcissist, and everybody needs boundaries, right? The same idea. But we often project boundaries external to us, and really, our boundaries start within us, of how we're talking to ourselves and what we're allowing within ourselves eventually bleeds out and creates what we allow and tolerate in others. And so having these internal boundaries is essential because we're the ones that are going to violate our own internal boundaries more than anybody else. And here's the thing is often we think we're operating from boundaries and principles and values when we're not. We're operating from insecurities and old wounds and our adaptive child. I want to thank Candace Avery for bringing this up to me this week of the importance of noticing when our wounded child, our adaptive child, or our wise self are showing up. And I think the biggest way to tell the difference is if there is fear, if there is reference to a past wound. I won't go this far because I was hurt by somebody. That's not a boundary. That's an insecurity masked as a boundary. It's not a value. It's an insecurity masked as a value. And it's being clear, I won't be wounded like that again because that hurt way too much and I don't want to go through that again. And the challenge is that we come from principle and this rightness that we're doing the right thing because we're doing it from a principle or a value, but really what we're doing is operating from an insecurity or an old wound or our adaptive child, where we've learned how to tolerate our world, work within our world, and label it as principle, just so that we can survive. I had experience with that this week in my relationship. Came to my partner and told her there was something that I couldn't handle within our relationship because it was too valuable to me. It was emotional security. It's something I value, quote unquote value. But what it really came from was the old wounds that I had, being hurt in a past relationship, being fearful of abandonment. And so it was a principle or value that wasn't really a value. It was an insecurity masked as a value. And so when you start to recognize that the external world activates the wounds in you that need to be healed, and when I say activates, it puts you in a space of seeing them. I want you to think about, baking bread. You put all the ingredients in, and it's not until it's put in the oven that those ingredients activate to create the bread as something you can eat. Otherwise, if you turn off the heat, you don't put it in the oven, it never gets activated and therefore can never be what it was intended to become. And so when somebody triggers us, it's not a trigger. It's an activation of that part of you that still needs healing. And we put so much on our partners. If you do this or don't do that, then I can be okay. And they're going to be themselves. And then we are upset because they don't do what we need them to do so that we can feel comfortable. And therefore we either separate ourselves from them or attack them in some way or create additional harm for ourselves and for them out of quote unquote principle. And we're afraid to get activated or triggered, so we move away from them, or we tell them they can't do things, or we try and control them, and that's not okay. The problem isn't in them. It never has been in them. If I do my work internally and my partner does their work internally and we come together from that, we're going to relate a lot better. And so, again, when you're thinking of boundaries, boundaries are for you, for your inner world, and eventually those will feed out into the outer world. Hope that's helpful today. That's my reflection for the moment. Doing a little walk and talk. And what the world needs is not more boundaries. It needs more self-leadership. For you to go in yourself and lead yourself into the person that you can become. Go make it a giant day, and I'll see you in the next video.